Well, only two men have won Players' Championship titles in 2018. We've just seen one of them here on Streamboard 2. Michael van Gerwen came through his match with Keegan Brown and is on a collision course to meet Gary Anderson in the quarterfinals. Should Van Gerwen get past Jimi Hendrix in the last 16 and Anderson see your fellow Scotsman Cameron Menzies here. Menzies, an exciting addition to the PDC circuit for this year
25.
And for the future. A man who wears his heart on his sleeve when
say the 25. It's Gary to throw
battling it out with the world's best. We saw him take on Gary Anderson at the Grand Slam, of course. Anderson beat Menzies 5-3 on that occasion. This one is first to 6, as are all our
100
Pro Tour matches, with the exception for this year of the European Tour semis and finals. But we will elaborate on that when we get
60
to the Euro Tour events next weekend. But Gary Anderson is on an incredible unbeaten run, stemming now 26 matches for the world number 4, the two-time world champion. The last time he was beaten was on the 18th of February when he lost out to Corey Cadby in the quarterfinals of the second Players' Championship event of the year. Since then, 3 Premier League draws against Gurney, Wright and Van Barneveld on Thursday. And everything else
60
has been a win. Back-to-back wins for Anderson in Barnsley last weekend, trousering £20,000. He picked up the UK Open title, of course, in Minehead as well, landing 70 grand in his hand. Will the winner's cheque today be signed G. Anderson?
45.
Or will he be stopped by Michael van Gerwen, who won the first two? Or perhaps Cameron Menzies right here.
Game shot.
Well, the first leg does go to Gary, who continued that impressive unbeaten run this
85.
afternoon with wins against Paul Rowley 6-1, Davy Van Baarle 6-0 and Robert Marjanovic 6-3.
140.
Menzies, who comes from Glasgow, where Anderson will take on Simon Whitlock in the Premier League on Thursday night, has beaten Christo Reyes, Peter Hudson and Jeffrey de Graaf to get into the last 16.
$100.
And it's the first time that the 28-year-old has reached the last 16 in a PDC Pro Tour event. Of course, didn't manage to earn himself a tour card, but good performances on the Challenge Tour, including a final in January. I've seen him
57.
move up the rankings there and is one of the eligible players to replace absentees in these Pro Tour events. We're missing the likes of Barney and Michael Smith
43.
this afternoon. We're also missing the likes of Rob Cross and Peter Wright, but not because they withdrew, because they were knocked out early doors.
96.
So it's looking very much like the MVG Anderson dynasty will continue on the PC events this year.
100.
But with that pair meeting potentially in the next round, a chance for somebody else to add their name to the Roll of Honour for the year as Anderson eyes up tops.
88.
Bullseye then.
63. Game shot.
And Anderson takes advantage and doubles his lead with a break of throw. A dart at the bull. Not converted for Menzies, and it's already looking ominous.
57.
You almost need a player cam on Cameron Menzies all the time. His reactions after visits leave nothing to the imagination.
45.
A cam is what's needed.
$81.
Some of Anderson's performances in Barnsley last weekend were absolutely irresistible. The kind of averages he was throwing, that demolition against Rob Cross in particular, where
60.
Anderson had 3 bullseye finishes, including the big fish. Really played some exquisite stuff.
180.
And that was an example of excellence from Gary Anderson. First 180 of the match.
100. 49.
In his 6-0 demolition against Davy Van Baarle in the second round, Anderson averaged 105. 85. So showing that he may well be singing to the same tune this weekend.
56.
Menzies, of course, was a big story at the Grand Slam last year. Pleased to say that the Grand Slam of Darts will be staying in Wolverhampton. The Civic undergoing
game shot.
Major renovation. But Gary Anderson and the like will return to Wolverhampton
180.
At a different venue, where plenty of those will be on show. Menzies was...
140.
Well, he captured the heart of darts fans, didn't he? That match with Berry Van Peer was a quite incredible affair.
96.
Van Peer suffering that
34.
That problem they call dartitis, and Menzies missed his chance to beat him. Van Peer somehow went through. There were cheers, tears, all going on the stage.
58.
And even here you can see that Menzies is... He hardly tones it down for the floor events, does he?
137.
When he played Gary Anderson there, he said that Gary was his idol and it was an honour to take on Gary Anderson. He took out a 1-3-4 check out against Anderson and on 2 double tops, and the celebration was something to behold. Normally bothers Gary, it didn't with Cameron. Now Anderson wants the ball.
65.
A chance then for Menzies to get a leg on the board.
Game shot.
And he does so. Having a little chuckle between themselves, the pair. Not sure if Anderson was playing the wind-up merchant, because he had a little smile on his face.
$134. 140. 60. 100. 140.
Well, Anderson will have to go for this by virtue of that 140 from his opponent, but not going to happen.
56.
By the way, if you look at the draw for this
50.
tournament, the bottom half doesn't have a single seeded player left in at the last 16 stage. As Gary looks for double 10.
95. 44.
And news for those men that are hoping to watch Gary Anderson take on Michael Van Gerwen. Well, Anderson seems to be making light work of Cameron Menzies here. Van Gerwen has already beaten Jimi Hendrix. A 6-2 win for the world number 1. He's through to the quarterfinals, as is Chris Dobey. A 6-4 win for Hollywood against Stephen Burton. And that bottom half of the draw, as I said, no seeded players. Listen to this. Brendan Dolan is taking on Gabriel Clements.
97.
Dobey through, he'll take on the winner of that. Then Matt Edgar against Willie O'Connor, playing either Ryan Searle or Taban or Camphouse, who are still playing their last 32 match. By contrast, the top half still has Michael van Gerwen, Gary Anderson, Menzies, Suljovic and James Wade.
$134.
Menzies in a good position here to get a second leg on the board. Doesn't need to go treble 17 bull because Anderson, for once, is not perched on his shoulder waiting to punish.
62. $100. Game shot.
And tops does the job for Cameron Menzies. Anderson not quite
96.
hitting the heights that we have seen plenty of times on these live streams on the floor events. No nonsense events. Suit Gary Anderson. Very interesting interview with my commentary colleague Dan Dawson after last Sunday's victory when
137.
Dan was throwing all the incredible stats of the averages and the maximum count and the results that Gary Anderson was getting. And Anderson's response was, well, that's what we're supposed to do.
100.
Anderson hasn't left to finish here.
194. 81.
Cameron Menzies has, thanks to that treble 18, so there's a half chance here for the Glaswegian.
128. $60.
But tops for the Flying Scotsman.
Game shot.
Moves him within one leg of that mouth-watering quarter-final clash with Michael van Gerwen.
60. $180.
And Anderson goes off with what he hopes will be the last leg with a maximum.
94. $140.
And I was just about to get excited as Anderson set up the prospect of a 9-darter. That's not going to happen, but it does look like Gary's saving his best leg for last.
$135.
A good run from Cameron Menzies today, but it looks like it will come to an end.
180.
And his last 3 darts may well be a maximum as Anderson lands double top to move into the quarterfinals. And yes, he will take on Michael van Gerwen. And yes, one of them will be beaten. Will the other one go on to win the title today? Stay tuned to find out.